Talking anti-corporatist generally has uh, commentary that sets me off on whole segments, and I love it and keep it up, buddy. It gets me thinking, and that's incredibly valuable for this format of a show that we do. The request was that to take a moment to talk about Hassan going off on that reactor fella for just showing clips and not adding any value. Basically, I would say that we all live in a gray area with this. In its most raw form of what that is. You have the local, let me take you back to the local news industry. What will happen is you have a finite amount of space in an area to set up cameras. You could all cram in, all the local news stations could cram in and put up a camera there. But that costs money, and we're going to be filming the same thing. And if we're real, we all basically do the same job. Like I'm not in terms of recording it. The camera folks from one station are going to be tip-top professionals, and they will be that no matter what station they work at, and they will move around from station to station as they get better offers. The point being, it'll be fine. And what with the agreement that is arrived at is that we share the footage. So, yeah, a lot of times you'll have two local news stations with cameras there, but almost all of them will be sharing that footage with a bunch of other folks so that a bunch of other folks can talk about it. Problem we have online is that those kind of deals are not as easy to make with the volume of content that a lot of people put out. Now, obviously, I think what I do is okay because I'm doing it. And I welcome critique of that. I think what we just did, for funsies, if you're watching this recording later, I showed a series of clips from that Mitchell and Webb look, which were cut up and put together by somebody else, and I showed their whole clip as entertainment on this channel. I don't think that's the sort of thing even we can do here regularly for the very reason Hassan stated. You're not adding anything to it. But I do think there is a major difference if you take a moment, first of all, to plug their channel, as I did, even though it wasn't exactly probably a great channel to be associated with in terms of copyright strikes and all that. Yeah, I enjoyed it, being honest about the fact that I watched it and enjoyed it in my own time, and I encourage others to as well. But there is a habit some other streamers engage in that is way, way beyond that. There are streamers, first of all, understand that there are people who have a different mentality about streaming. Not even mentality. They have a different strategy for streaming. They'll be on constantly for like 8 hours every day. Vosh is closer to that. He doesn't do quite that much, but he's closer to that. And when they're doing that, it's a very different kind of stream. And I think there's a temptation to cheat. I think they got to use the bathroom, they got to go make a sandwich or whatever, because it's their work day, and everybody needs to step away from the desk or the lathe or the whatever the hell you got to operate for a couple of minutes. And oftentimes, what they'll do is they'll just put up somebody else's content. Somebody did that with somebody did that with a Hassan video, but I don't know if was that what Hassan was actually talking about, his own video being used, or I don't recall the I don't want to undercut it by calling it drama. I don't recall the controversy that much, but it was a legitimate point. You can't do that. Not unless, I mean, if you're playing somebody else's content as like in between stuff, um, you can't do that without either asking them for permission or clearly providing some value to them. And I'm not sure where the line is. I'm not. I don't have myself a decision made. I'd be interested in your thoughts, as a matter of fact. Where is the line? Because you can't just there in Las Vegas, for example. There's places where beautiful women or people dressed up in costumes will offer to take a picture with you, and you say okay, you take a picture, and then they say great, that's $500, and you say whoa, $500, that's too much for a picture, no thanks. You're supposed to tip them, obviously, but the way that's set up is the price is not agreed upon. I think this is kind of it's a scam, by the way. That's a hustle somebody's doing. I think this is kind of the opposite. Like, for example, I just played that person's clip, and I decided that the compensation for playing their clip was to plug their channel. And even then, if we're being real, the original makers of of those clips was not that guy. I'm positive that person isn't compensating the BBC. So that person just decided that showing the BBC's content was enough compensation for them, and I just decided that plugging that guy's showing of their content was enough compensation for him. No agreement was made, though, and that's probably, if now that I stop and think about it, that's maybe should have done that before, probably not sufficient. But I think I'm enjoying this moment in my career online where I'm small enough that if I do bad, it's undone pretty easily. There's the waves we're making right now. I'm proud of, but they're not yet. I'm not worrying about accidentally crushing seaside towns. We when we hit our high water mark, we're just surfing, and that's where I want to be. I think when you know that you have a big audience, when you're up and you're live and you got tens of thousands of people watching you, you have an obligation to put in a little extra work, and you have an obligation to contact, for example, if you've got a couple of clips that are ready to go that you saw that you think will add to your own stream, you have an obligation to contact the creators of those clips and get their permissions and set the terms by which those clips can be played. And if they ask for money, you say, I'm not going to do that, but I can put a link to your channel in the description. They say yes or no, and then you abide by what they say. I think you have an obligation to do that. And I think if we don't want legislation after all the wild stuff, after we sort of tame America again and handle the Wild West we've returned to, after all that goes and settles down and is taken care of, that's the sort of thing that will be legislated if it needs to be. And if we don't want the internet to become a place, if we don't want places like YouTube, for example, to become a place where it's just like impossible to get content up, I think the streamers themselves have an obligation to be ethical about how they do it. And your old pal Jake's no different. So, for example, we're not going to be putting up that double pirated stream, but I'm glad I showed it to you. I have no regrets there. And if y'all want to help me write a couple of Mitchell and Webb tribute sketches with modern conspiracy theories, hell, we'll do it over on WYCD on Facebook, on What You Can Do on Facebook. Speaking of, oh, scrolling down. Hey, John Doe finally caught y'all live. Oh, good to see ya. Good to see ya. The Mike's Dead show. They'll go the way of Hastert with Gates. Oh, yes. Cyberspace case. Yeah, the big issue is you have to add your own value to the original content. Absolutely. Instead, they're getting folks to watch the OG content as a replay of smaller creators with no kickback, even in the views. And that's where it is. Yeah. Cyberspace case, and XQC was ridiculing the original creators as well and being a total free rider and arrogant to boot. Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, I'm not sure exactly where the line is, but that guy crossed it for sure. Come on, he's well past it. Well, folks, I had a blast hanging out with you tonight. Tomorrow is Thursday. I keep wanting to call it Thirsty Thursday, but I don't know what that would mean. It's just a fun name for a show. Y'all have if you all have concept pitches for Thursday, let me know. But this has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. I had a blast hanging out with you tonight. I hope to see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. If you enjoyed the stream, please hit that like button. But I'm looking at the like ratio, and oh boy, I literally could not ask for more. I thank you. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe let me wet my beak. Maybe subscribe. I'm just saying. I'll see you next time. Oh, my name's Jake.